All right, hello everyone. Welcome to your Vinyasa practice. This month we've been focusing on the lower legs, or I guess the lower limbs, the legs in general, hips, knees, ankles, and all the muscles surrounding those joints. We're going to continue on that path. Our practices, you'll see if you've been practicing with me each week this month, have kind of been progressive. You see a little bit of repetition and then you see a little bit of newness. And so today will be similar in that vein. If you're curious about what we've been up to this past month, then you can go start the beginning of the series, which I'm calling the lower leg series. And to start off in our practice, we'll take a child's pose, but here's what I would try today if this feels like a good idea in your body, would be to take child's pose in a way that, so knees are wide. Typically when we have our knees wide, toes touch, but see if you can take your ankles wide so that there's one line from knee to ankle, and then set the hips back on the heels. So it's a little bit closer to like like almost if you were trying to set up frog pose, if you're familiar with that, but you're still on the top of the shins and the top of the feet. So setting the hips back towards the heels, you can stack your hands underneath the forehead if you like. You could also reach your hands back towards the feet. I like to take my hands back towards my feet and curl my fingertips around my heel bones and just see if I can get a little bit heavier in my hips. A few deep breaths here. Start to settle into the awareness of your breath. See if you can begin to breathe in and out through your nose. And we'll take about 3 more breaths here just to create some stillness, create some awareness, and draw some intention into our practice. One last breath in here. And breath out. If you have your hands back towards your feet, start to draw the palms forward underneath the shoulders. Press up into tabletop. A few rounds of cat-cow just to begin to feel how the spine feels today. In your cat-cow, you can begin to synchronize the breath with the movement. I like to play with breathing in as I back bend, as I lift my heart and my tailbone, and breathe out as I round my tailbone under and tuck my chin in. And sometimes I'll reverse that breath too, but that just seems like a natural movement and breath pattern today. And so I invite you to play around with that. See what feels good in your body. One more time here, cat and cow. And then coming back to a neutral spine, if your knees are still wide, stack them underneath your hips and then extend that right leg back. Take a moment here to tuck those right toes under, press down through the ball mound of the right foot, so right foot still in contact with the mat. Deep breath in, press through the palms, slight round through the upper back, so stay engaged through the arms. And then float that right leg off the mat. Without hyperextending in the low back, or hyperflexing in the low back rather, see if you can tuck the navel in. It's almost like you're trying to knit your front ribs in towards your front hip points, and then extend your left arm forward. Deep breath in here. Deep breath out, right knee to left elbow. So you're curling and rounding opposite elbow to opposite knee. Inhale, extend right arm left, left arm, right leg. Whatever leg you've got in the air, and then round and bend, tap elbow to knee. Inhale, extend through the limbs. Exhale, tap. Try that one more time. Keep that right leg stretching back behind you. Replant that left palm, and then we're going to take that right knee, cross it over top of left knee, and then see if you can snuggle your right thigh behind your left hamstring. So you're trying to tuck your right knee behind your left knee. Okay, so you're basically crossing your knees. Now take your feet wide, like my feet are coming off the mat, and then roll the hips back until you're basically in this kind of crouched, cross-legged seat, Gomukhasana legs. Round the chin in, tuck the forehead, take a few deep breaths here. So this is what we're targeting: outer hips, IT band, glutes, but really wherever the tissue is tightest, as I always say, is where you will feel sensation first. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And then inhale, come forward, back to the knees. Re-extend that right leg, and then right knee back underneath the right hip. So you're back to tabletop. Second side, left leg extends back behind you. Start off by tucking the toes and pressing down through the ball mound of the foot. Engage that left quadricep, so stay active through that left leg, even though it's pressing down onto the mat. Press the palms into the floor, knit the front rib cage into the hips, and then extend your right arm forward and float that left foot off the mat. So you're reaching from opposite limb to opposite limb. Deep breath in here, find that extension through right fingertips and left foot. And then exhale, round, touch that elbow to that knee. Inhale, extend the limbs. Exhale, round and tap. A few more times here with the breath. Inhale to reach. Exhale to round. Inhale. Exhale. One more time, inhale. Replant that right palm, keep that left leg lifted, and then start to reach that left knee behind the right knee. Take your feet wide. Okay, so it's like you're trying to tuck your left quadricep or your left thigh behind your right hamstring, and then widen the feet. So you're making space for the hips to roll back towards the mat. Tucking the chin in and resting the chin and the forehead down towards the knees. And at this point, the knees are close to stacked, or they are stacked, and the feet are wide. These are Gomukhasana legs, cow face legs. We'll take a few moments to breathe here. Two more breaths, in and out through the nose. All right, let's pull ourselves forward back to the knees, uncross the legs, and then set that left knee down back into tabletop. Now, one last little bit of work here before we start to flow. Right foot, top of the right foot, nestle it into the sole or the arch of the left foot. So top of the right foot, rest into the arch of the left foot. Okay, so it's like I'm crossing my feet, right foot on top of left foot. And then I'm going to sit back just like I did before, but this time I'm going to take my knees wide, lean my body weight back into my heels. So in essence, I'm using my right foot to massage the arch of my left foot. Take a few moments to breathe here. Inhale. Exhale. Remember, you can always bring weight forward into the hands if too much weight back on the heels is untenable for you. 2 more breaths. One more time here, a big breath in. We're going to lean forward so that weight's in knees and hands. And now we're going to take this, we're still on the right side, right ankle. Okay, so right ankle on top of left Achilles tendon. And so you're just changing the crossing of the feet a little bit. And then take a moment, sit back. Big breath in. Big breath out. So kind of similar to how we approach a toe squat, which we've done before in our practice, but now we're working with the fascia and the tendons and the ligaments of the ankles in a different way. So we're compressing with our right ankle, we're pressing into that left Achilles tendon and doing your best to breathe. A lot of times I think because we've been exploring Malasana squat, range of motion in Malasana squat, a lot of that has to do with the lower leg muscles and tendons and ligaments. So that range of motion in the ankle joint is really important in Malasana squat, especially if you want to get your heels firmly on the mat. Let's come forward, bring the weight into the hands, uncross those ankles. And now we're going to take top of that left foot, nestle it into the arch of the right foot. So top of the left foot nestled into the arch of the right foot. As you sit back on your heels, take your knees wide. See if you can sit up nice and tall here. To the best of your ability, take those 3 deep breaths. This feels like a lot, I know. So if you need to take weight forward into the hands to decrease that sensation, if you're not able to breathe deeply here, please feel free to do that, okay? Let's take one more deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then let's come forward. We're just going to take that left ankle on top of the right Achilles tendon. Left ankle on top of right Achilles tendon. So right above that right heel bone. And then go ahead, sit back here. Right and left side can feel totally different for me. I feel like I have to kind of brace a little bit because my right Achilles tendon is pretty tight. To the best of your ability, again, breathing in and out through your nose, taking care of yourself always, listening to the rhythm of the breath. 2 more times here. Big breath in. Big breath out. Whew. All right, let's come forward. Tabletop, uncross those ankles. Tuck those toes under. Walk the hands forward, one whole hand print. Really root through the entire palm. Engage your fingertips. Lift the knees up and back. Downward facing dog. Start to pedal out your feet right and left. Bring your awareness down to the lower legs, so calf muscles, Achilles tendon, the heel bones. I want you to notice right now in your downward facing dog, the range of motion of the ankles. Do the heel bones easily touch the floor? Do they feel like they hover above the floor a little bit or a lot? It's not required at all to get the heel bones on the floor, but you might just notice the distance. Let's let both heel bones be heavy, both legs be straight for a moment. Relax the head, a little pressure into the palms, press the chest back towards the thighs. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Bend that right knee nice and deep. Bend that right knee. Get heavy, heavy, heavy through that left heel. Pause here for 2 breaths. And we'll switch sides. So right heel bone gets heavy, right leg goes towards straight. Deep bend in that left knee. Pause here for 2 breaths. Good, and then both heel bones heavy. Back to your downward facing dog. Inhale, shift forward, find high plank. Lengthen back through those heels. Engage your quadricep muscles away from the knee. Press the floor away with the palms. Slight round through the upper back. Tuck your tailbone under. Lower your hips just an inch or 2. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Knees to the mat. Come all the way to the belly. Take your feet as wide as the outer corners of your mat. Take your hands out a little bit wider so my thumbs are on the mat, but the rest of my fingers are off the mat. Deep breath in, lift the chest. So variation of low cobra with the feet wide and the hands wide. Exhale, lower. Deep breath in, press the floor away. Another round of low cobra with this variation. Exhale, lower. One more time. Press through the palms of the hands and the tops of the feet. Maybe the arms move towards straight. Exhale, lower, release, tuck the chin, rest the forehead, walk the hands underneath the shoulders, bring the feet back together, tuck the toes under, press up to tabletop or high plank. Meet me in downward facing dog. Big breath in. Big breath out.
Inhale, extend your right leg up and back. Pause here, get heavy in that left heel bone as you point your right toes towards the ceiling. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Start to take that right foot forward outside of the right hand. Wiggle that left foot back, 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 back. Get really long in that left leg and then set the left knee down. So this wide-legged low lunge, quintessential in our practice this month. Wobble a little bit side to side. Just start to sink a little bit lower into the hips. Say hello to the hips. How are you today? Where do you need a little extra attention? And notice the difference between the right hip, the foot that's forward, and the left hip, the foot that's back. Where do you feel sensation? It's probably going to be different from side to side. And then turn those right toes off the mat. Okay. Tuck your left toes under, lift your left knee. We're going to step forward into Malasana, left foot wide, toes turn out, heel bones in. Again, if you want to roll that mat up to see about setting the heel bones on a lifted part of the mat, see if that changes your ability to press down through your heel bones in your Malasana squat. Maybe you get a little bit deeper into the hips. Fingertips can be on the floor in front of you for a little balance. And then if you feel like you start to get stable here, you can always bring your hands together at the heart. See if you can get a little bit longer in the spine. 2 breaths here. Next time you inhale, lift the hips up, hands down in front of your feet, turn the toes forward. Uttanasana, your forward fold at the top of your mat. Bend the knees right and left. Relax the upper body over the legs. Whew. Deep breath in, halfway lift, fingertips to shins. Use the core. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift again. Pause here, walk your hands to your waist, press down through your feet and stand all the way up. Move that weight to your left foot, come to the right toes, and then just start to roll the ankle out. So a little bit bend that left knee, all that weight's in that left foot, and then roll that right ankle out. So it might feel kind of awkward to do this, but just bear with me for a few moments. Rolling that right ankle out. It's like you're on the toes and you're trying to stir them around like you would stir a spoon in a pot. Try to go the other direction. I think it helps to take my foot a little bit behind me, so my right foot's a little bit behind my left foot. And then we'll switch sides. So right foot plants firmly, bend that knee, all that weight's in that right foot. Left toes behind you, keeping your balance. So you're going to play with that distance. And then start to roll those toes around like you're drawing a circle with those toes. Go both directions. And then left foot flat, both feet flat, top of the mat, you're facing forward. Feet about hip width distance apart, start to bend the knees, sink the hips, weight into the heels, chair pose, Utkatasana. Hands to the heart. Sink the hips just a little bit lower. So different than different than Malasana. Bending the knees. Take a peek at the toes. Curl the toes off the mat. So flex those toes towards your face and then really press down through all 10 toes. So toes back into the mat. One more breath here in Utkatasana. Exhale, forward fold. Good. Inhale, halfway lift. Now exhale, plant those palms. Step back to high plank. In your high plank, shift forward onto those tippy toes. With or without the knees, lower all the way to the belly. Take those feet wide. Take those hands wide and maybe a little bit more forward. Press up to this variation of cobra pose. If you were in a yin practice, they would call this seal. So feet are wide, hands are wide, arms move towards straight. You can always keep the elbows bent if that's too much on the low back. Exhale, lower, release. Feet come back together. Palms walk back underneath the shoulders. Tuck the toes, pressing up to tabletop or high plank. Lift the hips, downward facing dog. Pause here, deep breath in. Deep breath out. One more time, inhale, exhale. Stay rooted through both palms. Inhale, left leg, stretch it up and back. Point those left toes high towards the ceiling. Get heavy in your right heel bone. One more big breath in here. On your exhale, you're going to sweep that left foot forward, step it wide outside of your left hand, wiggle that right foot back, get long, long, long in that right leg, and then set the right knee down, uncurl the toes. Wobble a little bit side to side. Get heavy in those hips. Check out sensation in back right leg hip, front left leg hip. And notice where you feel things. It might feel completely different on that side. All right, let's turn those left toes off of the mat. Tuck the right toes under, lift the right knee. You're going to step forward to Malasana. So feet are wide, toes are turned out. Sink those hips low. Fingertips might come forward to counterbalance that weight. And then you can always slide more height underneath the heel bones. Maybe take your hands together at the heart. Maybe try to lengthen out through the spine a little bit. 2 breaths here. Press down through those feet. Lift the hips up. Relax the upper body over the legs. Forward fold. Turn those toes to point forward. In your forward fold, tuck your right foot behind your left foot. Get the pinky edges of the feet touching. So right ankle behind left ankle, and then deep bend in your left knee. Try to stay rooted and grounded through the big toe mounds of both feet as you fold over your legs. So all I'm doing is crossing my right ankle behind my left ankle. Okay, but I'm trying to keep both feet flat, and I'm bending my left knee, and I'm straightening out through my right leg. From here, walk your fingertips off to your left. Add a little rotation. Come to your fingertips if needed. Take one more breath in. And breath out to unwind the spine, uncross the ankles. Feet are parallel. And then bring your left ankle behind your right heel bone. See if you can get the pinky toe edges of the feet towards one another. So it's like your feet are still parallel, but your left ankle is behind your right ankle. Ankles are crossed, okay? Deep bend in that right knee, straighten out through that left leg, press down through both big toe mounds. Fold over the legs. Begin to walk the fingertips off towards the right side of your mat. Deep breath in here. Deep breath out. And then come back through center, uncross the legs. Feet are parallel, about hip width distance apart. Let's build Utkatasana from the ground up. Bend the knees, sink the hips low, low, low. Lift the chest, hands to the heart, or if you like this round, arms alongside the ears. See if you can sink the weight a little bit lower into the hips. Curl the toes up towards the face, and then press the fingertips of the toes. Press the toes into the mat. One more breath here. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. We'll add on to our vinyasa with some warrior one. Press down through the palms, step back to high plank, shift forward onto your toes, lower through chaturanga. If you like, take those feet wide, hands wide, pressing up to seal pose. Exhale, lower. Bring those feet back together, hands underneath the shoulders, tuck the toes under, high plank, downward facing dog. Settle into down dog, 2 breaths. Inhale, right leg lifts, point those toes, get heavy through that left heel. Exhale, right foot steps forward. And like we did before, right foot wide outside of the hands. And then step that left foot forward a little bit, but spin that left foot flat, about a 45-degree angle. So warrior one, set up warrior one feet. And then sweep the arms forward and up. Deep breath. Rebend that right knee. Add the arms, reach the arms up and overhead.
Option to cross the thumbs and extend through fingertips. A little bit, see if you can tuck the tailbone underneath the front ribs in. Stay rooted through the outer edge of that back foot. Big breath in here. Big breath out. We'll transition briefly through warrior two. So the front foot might come a little bit more towards the inside of the mat. Back foot, make sure that back foot's parallel to the outer edge of the mat. Spread the arms wide, warrior two. We're going to move forward into side angle pose from here. Left hand to left hip, reach those right fingertips forward, or bend that right forearm and rest it on the thigh. If you're reaching the right fingertips forward, fingertips come down to the mat inside of the right ankle. Okay, so inside of the right ankle, palm is either flat or you're on your fingertips. You're a little bit pressing that right knee out to the side with that right elbow, and then left arm, you can extend it up towards the ceiling or alongside that left ear. Stay rooted down and active through your left leg here. Big breath in. And then big breath out, left palm to the top of the mat next to your right hand. Both hands flat at the top of the mat. Heel toe that right foot wide. Spin to the ball mound of your left foot. And then step forward to Malasana once more. Malasana, top of the mat. Toes wide, heels wide. Sink the hips low. 2 breaths here. Lift the hips, lower the limbs of the arms, relax the upper body over the legs. Take a moment here in Uttanasana. Inhale, fingertips to shins, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, plant the palms, step back to high plank. We're skipping that Uttanasana. We're just going to move right on through Chaturanga. Feet wide if you want to take seal pose, hands wide. Press towards straight arms. Deep breath in here to the chest and the belly. Exhale, lower out of your back bend. Feet come together, hands walk underneath the shoulders, tuck the toes. High plank to downward facing dog. 2 breaths, downward facing dog. Good, and then inhale, left leg floats up and back, point those toes heavy through the right heel. Exhale, step that left foot forward, plant it wide on your mat. Spin the right foot flat. It's about a 45-degree angle at the back of your mat. And then sweep the arms forward and up. Warrior one, second side. So shoulders are pointing forward, chest is pointing forward towards those left toes. Make sure that angle of the feet work for you. If you want to, you can cross the thumbs and extend the fingertips up and overhead like prayer pose with the hands, except for the thumbs are crossed. A little bit tuck that tailbone under. Front rib cage like tucking into the front of the hip points. And then really commit to active through the outer right leg, pressing down through the pinky toe edge of that back foot. One more breath here. Let's transition the hands and the legs to warrior two, adjusting those feet. It's a little bit wider stance in warrior two. And that left foot might move towards the middle of the mat. The right foot, it's parallel, ideally, with the back short edge of your mat. Arms go wide. Settle in here for a breath or two. And then we'll start to set up for a side angle pose, right hand to right hip. These left fingertips, they can reach forward and down towards the inner left ankle, or that left forearm can rest on the left thigh. Okay, and then the right arm options here, sweeping it up towards the ceiling or right bicep alongside the right ear. Stay committed to that back foot pressing down, especially the pinky toe edge of that right foot. Deep breath in. And then deep breath out, right palm plants. Spin up onto the ball mound of the right foot. Widen that left foot off to the side. Turn those toes off the mat. Once more, Malasana squat. Last time here. Malasana, toes wide, heels wide. Hips low, hips low. Take one more breath in Malasana. Ooh, and then from Malasana, fingertips behind you, lower yourself to your seat. Let your feet walk in towards one another. Roll onto your back, hugging your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little rock side to side. Massage that tissue at the low back. Keeping these knees kind of tucked up into the chest. Spread the arms wide. Scooch the hips a little bit off towards your right. Hips a little bit off towards your right. And then take your knees off to the left. They're coming into a twist with the knees stacked. Arms wide, shoulders relaxed on the mat, chest broad towards the ceiling. Now maybe that left hand, it rests on the outer right thigh. 3 breaths here. And then we'll unwind, we'll come back through center. Adjust the hips back in line with the shoulders so your spine is nice and straight on your mat. Hug those knees back into the chest. Give yourself a little hug, rock side to side. And then keep those knees kind of tucked in towards the chest as you spread your arms wide. A little bit, wiggle those hips off to your left a few inches, and then both knees off to the right. So knees stay stacked as you come into this twist. Left arm sweeping off to the left, stay grounded through that shoulder or slide a prop under there if there's a lot of space between the floor. And then right hand to outer left thigh. 3 breaths here. We'll start to unwind, come back through center. One more time, hugging the knees into the chest. Reach for the outer edges of the feet. Pull your knees and feet wide. Happy baby. You don't have to reach for the feet. If the feet feel really far away, you can always take the back of the calves or the backs of the knees. Feel free to rock a little bit side to side here too, or play with straightening out through a leg or both legs. Couple more breaths before we settle into Shavasana. When you set up for your Shavasana, feel free to add any props to keep your body warm. We're just going to be here for a minute though, unless you have more time to spare. I'll always support that option. Laying onto your back. Unless you want to maintain an upright seat, you can always take Shavasana as a seated meditation too. Whatever you're doing, try to relax your shoulders away from your ears, softening the neck and the throat, relax the jaw, the eyes sink into their sockets. Imagine as if you could relax and release every single muscle of the face. Just taking a few moments of silence and stillness for yourself. If you have more time to spend in Shavasana, please, I encourage you to take it. If you need to move on with your day, a little wiggle through fingertips and toes, arms can stretch up and overhead, breathing into the length of the body. Exhaling, make your way off to a side, and then pressing to an upright seat. We'll take a moment to close out our practice if you're still with me. Sitting up nice and tall, hands face down on top of the thighs, shoulders over hips, ears over shoulders. Big breath in, grow tall. Breath out, settle into your seat. 3 deep breaths here, in and out through the nose, nice and slow. As you're ready, joining your hands together at your heart and bowing the chin into the chest. Take a moment here to honor your effort and your practice with reverence and gratitude. It is my hope that you use the fruits of this practice to serve your highest good, to share it with those around you that you love and who could use healing. May we remember to send love and healing to all sentient beings around the world. May they be happy, may they be free. Namaste, yogis. All right, everyone, thank you so much for your time, for your wisdom, for your grace, for being with me today. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments. I always love to hear from you and I hope you come back again soon.